Welcome to the Gump Report. Here we go, guys. As I promised, this is being done before SmackDown and Rampage, and I'm going to see if I can watch them both. Guys, we got a lot to unpack here. That's going from WWE news, a little bit of AEW news, quite a lot of AEW news, and Impact news, and I got something that's going to be connected below that's going to show you, no matter how many people keep saying that Impact is doing great, in America, they're not. And something's got to be changed. So let's start with a little bit of WWE news. A little bit. Right now, we had several rumors about Sasha Banks and Naomi coming back. Now, it was reported, I believe, on Fightful.com that there was a departure, of course, because they dropped their titles and left before the regime of Vince and Ken McMahon ended. They were so frustrated and they were done with it. It is now being somewhat reported that they are going to be coming back. Now, JD's talked about this, just Alex, and I believe Solomon's talked about this, that it's already been a possibility that Naomi as well as Sasha Banks will be coming back by Survivor Series. It's a good chance. There is, I believe on Fightful.com, a Instagram story coming from Titus O'Neil where he's got Sasha and Naomi along with Bailey and a few others in a picture with him. Now, I saw the picture. I will not connect it below, but I did see the picture. So it's a good possibility that if they're not coming back yet, they are interacting with the roster and now probably with Triple H. If they have not come up with a deal yet, because Sasha's deal is practically up now. Don't know about Naomi. But if they're renegotiating their contracts to stay, that's if they are. This is what you're going to get. You're going to see Naomi and Sasha Banks eventually if they renegotiate the contract. I don't know if they have yet. But they were spotted due to the fact of the Instagram story of Titus O'Neil. Also, when it comes to, there's still rumors of what's going to happen with Roman Reigns when it comes to this run that he's on right now. If he's going to drop the title or not. Not sure if he should drop it until WrestleMania because the plan has still been the plan. If that was already negotiated, this is something that none people understand. If Vince had made negotiation that was added to a contract of Roman Reigns, not saying it was, that contract has to be fulfilled because he didn't renegotiate his contract. But the question is, if it wasn't in a contract and it was a verbal agreement between Vince and Roman Reigns, is Triple H going to uphold that contract, that uphold of that agreement? I don't know. They didn't drop the title to Drew McIntyre in the Clash of the Castle, so I don't know. Maybe he may drop it at Survivor Series. Maybe they want to wait until then. I don't know. Now, AEW news. I know there could be more WWE news, and yes, hearing what Booker T, I didn't see what Booker T talked about, but briefly seeing that Booker T did mention CM Punk, and I will be getting to that next. I do know he spoke about it, but I don't know what he said yet. I didn't see it. I was checking everything else. But let's go to AEW news. First thing, Bobby Fish has been talked about, and it looks like he might be making a return to WWE. His contract, I don't know if is near expiration. It might be maybe a 6-month contract. I don't know. But it's already been talked about that he's considering returning to WWE, back to Triple H. That's a possibility. Now, Thunderosa, this is where it gets interesting. There's several people that believe that Thunderosa's injury is not as serious, that is a work. But Thunderosa's made it very clear that she's legitimately injured and she may need surgery. But I believe Dave Meltzer has reported that when it comes down to it, she doesn't know if she needs major surgery or not. She's basically staying home and probably is being evaluated. This is just me. I think she doesn't really know how bad it is. She has said that she can't feel her legs. That means she can walk, but she doesn't have any sensation due to the fact her nerve system in her back is so messed up, supposedly in my understanding, that she can't feel her legs. They're probably numb. So she's probably being evaluated first before she knows if she needs major surgery or maybe evasive surgery. That would be like, I'll give you an example of myself. When I first found out I was having problems with my back and my hip, I was offered evasive surgery. Where I have minor surgery that will cut the nerves connected to my hip where the pain is. I didn't want that because for me, I was told clearly that I have to have hip replacement. But just getting the nerves cut in my backside to take away the pain in my hip would not solve the problem of my hip needing to be removed and then replaced with a steel plate. That's the reason why I never did it. And I don't know if I ever get it, because if you don't know how the system works for Medicare, unless your life is threatened or if you got the scratch, the money to pay for it, you'll stay as you are, like I am right now. I've been like this for 12 years. Well, actually, my leg has been bad since 2005. And I've been out of work since 2010. It's been 12 years and longer than that since it's been happening, and no surgery. So with Thunderosa, maybe she's being evaluated. Maybe they're talking to her about getting evasive surgery where they will cut the nerves or at least try to repair the nerves to try and get the feeling back in her legs again. Who knows? She might have compression in her nerve system. No, not in her disc or in her nerves, because her spine could have been compressed where the discs are. Maybe they need to remove some disc. I don't know. Maybe she's waiting to find that out. But there are people who don't believe it, which is kind of foolish. That's probably the people who've also said that she has backstage heat due to the fact that she doesn't work well with others. Now, when it comes to JD and Jesse, many people have been telling them that Thunderosa has an attitude. Now, I've noticed when Thunderosa does not want to sell, she doesn't work that well. But in most cases, she looks very good in the ring. I've always said that about her. Doesn't mean she's a bad wrestler or a bad person. She'll only do it when she believes it's necessary. So that also could be contributing to what they're saying about her being in a work. She's not working, but she's not removed from the roster. She is still there. She hasn't been released. Now, when it comes to the backstage fight. Now, in my previous video, I did not know what happened. I didn't know. So, as I said in that video, it was done before that Raw. So, I didn't know the full scope of what was going on. I didn't see JD. I didn't see Just Alex. The information that I saw on the websites was still very confusing because no one knew exactly what had happened. So, by the time I did my video, that is when new information came out. So, this is what we do now. As I've said in my Dynamite review, at least a little bit, we now know after the scrum, after CM Punk buried Paige, buried Colt Cabana, buried the Bucks, buried Omega, and basically said, if you got a fucking problem with me, meet me in the back and let's fucking go. Well, guess what? As I said in my Dynamite review, when he went to his dressing room, and this is where there's two stories. Two. His story is that when he went to his dressing room, and we now know, and I'll talk about his torn tricep in a minute, I will, and Christian Cage as well, because they both have the same tear and the same injury. But when he went to his dressing room, the Bucks broke into his room, they faced him. I believe Nick is the one who took the first swing, and they started fighting. And when it came to Ace Steel, who is also his friend and his original trainer when he first started wrestling, he decided not only, I'm sure you already know this, not only did he grab a chair, an aluminum steel chair, whacked, and I believe it was Matt, in the face, and legitimately cut him open, gave him a black eye. He also attacked a Kenny Omega, started fighting with him, and bit him on the eel. Mike Tyson, you got a brother. Pretty much that's what happened. He started trying to rip his ear off with his teeth. And while this was going on, and this is what Ace said, the reason I went off on everyone, including Kenny, trying to eat his ear, was because my wife was in the room with Lenny, which was CM Punk's, I believe his dog's name is Lenny. That's CM Punk's dog. And supposedly his wife was in danger. I don't think so. I don't believe that. That's a cover story to try and keep his job. Now, this is what I found, because I looked across several websites to see if Ace has been released from the company. No, he has not. He's not there, but he has not been released. So I don't know if he's been fired or not. When it comes to the Bucks, Nick is suspended. Matt is suspended. And Kenny Omega has been suspended. And as you already know, they have been stripped of the Trios titles. And now Death Triangle, who I thought would have had to wait to get the next chance at the titles, now have them. I do believe that Death Triangle probably would have gotten the titles next year. This is just me. Now that Pac has the All-Atlantic title, I think they would have waited until next year to give them all the damn titles. But they gave them to him now. Ahead of schedule. That's what I think, if they had scheduled it. But here's the big question about CM Punk. Is he suspended? I don't know. There's not one site so far that says he's been suspended. But he's home due to the fact he has a tricep tear. His tricep is torn. Possibly during the match or possibly during the fight. Don't know which one. But here's the interesting thing. He's out between 6 to 8 months until he recovers. But then Christian Cage has the same tear. And also he's out for the same amount of time. He's been working with this tear. He has been working. So pretty much both of the guys, Punk and Cage, are both out with similar tears. We don't know if CM Punk is suspended. We don't know if he's going to be released. We know that Christian Cage is still working for the company. He is still there, and he probably will not be released. So this is what we got with those two. Now, Bobby Fish, as I said, I believe I said this about Bobby Fish earlier. But also, Bobby Fish did come up, he made a comment about CM Punk just as they were talking about, is he going back to the WWE or not? Because he is considering it. He also said something about CM Punk. He said he's no damn MMA fighter. He's nothing but a cunt. Because if you see on one of the websites, I can't remember which one, he says he's not an MMA fighter. He's nothing but a cunt. Probably saying that he should have handled himself better. Also, Booker T got into it. Pretty much saying the same thing, that he should have been more mature. As I've said, CM Punk clearly is the top of the food chain. And all the titles and every wrestler has to look to him for guidance next to Tony Khan. He has to act a certain way. You guys don't understand. When you looked at the NWA, when you looked at Nick Aldis, even if you think the NWA is nothing but a little tiny little thing, when you see how he acted as their champion, he took it seriously. He went to news outlets, he went to radio, he went to TV, he represented the NWA correctly. You look at CM Punk, when he went to that scrum, he did not represent it correctly. It's not the point, and no one is saying that he's wrong. This is about the Bucks and Kenny Omega making it very clear they're not happy about how Colt Cabana was being booked. And instead of taking it up with Tony, they tried to mess up CM Punk by making him look bad on radio, or as what happened with Hangman Page when he did his promo shoot, to make him look bad to the fans. No one is saying 100% that he's wrong. But he is wrong when he went to the scrum and made it all about himself. This is what is the difference between a Nick Aldis and a CM Punk. It's not the point. CM is a great guy. He's from Chicago. Guys, you got to understand. You want to know who the most craziest people are? Look at New York. Doesn't matter if you're in the Bronx, Brooklyn, or Queens. We're crazy people. I'm one of the nuttier ones because I don't act like them normally. I actually say exactly what I'm thinking instead of most of them just acting and whooping your ass or wanting to chew your ass out. I will tell you what's going on by my own people. Chicago, same thing. And Philly, the same thing. Also in California, when you look over at Cali, when you go into the areas where it's rough, it's pretty much the same thing. You get the same thing from all four of these states. We are all crazy motherfuckers that act a certain way, and CM Punk is no different. But CM Punk is CM Punk. He's going to tell you exactly how he feels. He's going to tell you if you got a problem, let's go fucking go. Let's go outside, or let's go right here and let's start that fight. So when he swung, it doesn't matter if Nick started it or CM Punk. Flat out doesn't matter. Punk was going to finish the shit because tendency of people from New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, and Cali, we finish it. If we've started, we're going to fucking finish it. Doesn't mean it's right. It's just how we are. Unless you're like one of the more sensibly nutty people like myself that thinks, dude, this ain't right. I care more about life. I'm going to walk off. Unless they try to hurt you. Then I will try to bury their ass. Because if a fight starts, I will try to walk away from it because that's how I was taught. But if they want to try and swing at me after I try to walk away and say, look, this ain't right, it's not necessary, I'm going to let you go. And if you try to swing at me, I'll try to bury your ass because I care about my life. But that is how CM Punk is. Now, final thing we're going to talk about. And this is Impact Wrestling. Guys, when you go to, I believe it's No DQ, I can't remember which one. It's either Fight or NoDQ.com. I'm going to leave a connection below. There is a page I'm going to connect to. And this page is going to show you the ratings from 2020 all the way up until yesterday, where they got the general ratings in from yesterday. When you see the ratings from 2020, and understand this, the ratings for Impact Wrestling has been jumping all over the place. But I'm going to tell you this. In 2020, when the pandemic started, in the very first rating, Impact Wrestling got a 200,000 viewership. That was in, January 7th, when my son just turned 22 years old. Now, go to, I believe it's September, I could be wrong. It's either October or September of that same year, they got another one of 200,000. Everything in between was between 100 to maybe 150, near 200,000. So it's between 100 to near 200,000 in 2020, when the pandemic started, when people were stuck home. By near December, I believe, November to December, I think it was December, right before the best of 2020, they got 220,000. Guess what? That was the last time they ever broke 200,000. When you look at 2020 and 2021 and 2022, they never even come close to 200,000 again. Never. In fact, between 2021 and 2022, they had ratings that went to 89,000, and I reported it, to 79,000 at one point, and I would believe it was on 2021, just on Thanksgiving 2021, just before the best of 2021. Guess what the ratings was? I believe it was 48,000. 48,000 on Spike TV, not Spike TV, on Access TV. Makes your scalp itch. Going to 2022, the numbers jump between 100 and maybe 60 to 100, under 100,000. Guess what the ratings are for this week, if those are the correct ratings from the Nielsen ratings? 60,000. Now, that could be inaccurate. I do believe that the numbers might be wrong for this 8th of September. I do believe it's wrong. So it might go up a little bit more. It might go up to 70 or 80,000, maybe back up to 100. But if it's correct, if it's correct, what have I been saying? What have I been saying to you guys? If the numbers for yesterday are correct, and that's if they are, I do believe that's probably much higher. It might be near 100,000. I don't believe it's 60, but if it is 60, if between 60 and 100,000, Once again, Impact gets nothing. I've seen some people say on my video for yesterday that there were people cheering. God, you don't understand that the mics there, they were too low. There were people cheering. You could see from the fan videos. You're not getting it. The fan video is probably where the cheering was coming from, not where the entire arena was. That person or persons who were probably recording, if even more than one person was recording, was probably in the area that was cheering the most. Because when you look at the people in that damn arena, which was supposed to be 500, you can tell even when they're dimming the crowd, whenever they zoom in, you're looking at only the people they want you to see, which are the ones that are giving the most interaction. When you look at the people behind them, most of them, nothing. No reaction. Either they're sitting or they're not cheering or they're not doing a damn thing. It's not just because of the audio. You can actually see with your damn eyes. So don't tell me I'm not watching what's going on all over. I'm not perfect. I know I'm not. I make a lot of mistakes. I botch my damn words because either I get frustrated or I get awkward. That's just how I am. I'm not like that. I'm just a nut. But even I can tell there's something wrong. Guys, it's not just because they're doing constantly tapings back to back to back. There's something wrong with the product. If they can only get at one point on the Thanksgiving episode 48,000. I know you're going to say, well, dude, you know people are not going to watch. It's not the point. It's not. We know that AEW is going to make some decent numbers. Yes, it's going to drop like a damn stone. But even they're going to do at least something. WWE is going to do something. We know this. That, yes, numbers drop during holidays. They do. There's no lie about it. But you can't deny that when you look at that list, and I am connecting it below. I'll put it in the comments. I'm not gonna put in the description. It's gonna be in the comments. Here is the ratings. You're gonna see it for yourself. You're gonna see from 2020 where the numbers are pretty high, going to 2021, which jumps all over the place. And that's when also Kenny Omega was a part of it. And once he's gone into 2022, you see the numbers just drop and drop and drop until you see the rating for September 8th, which says 60,000. I'm not even saying that's correct. I think it's probably higher than that because that might not be correct. I don't believe it is. I believe that number is probably higher than that. Probably maybe 100,000 or somewhere near that. But when you look at the majority of those ratings, those numbers, you can't lie. When it comes to the American market, Impact is not doing well. There is something wrong. It isn't just that they're on Access TV. I've been saying it for a while. Access does not have the reach of a TBS or TNT or even Infinity where ROH was. It just doesn't have the reach. That's part of it. But the other part, which is the one that nobody wants to admit to, is that management is an issue. Think about it for a minute. What did Anthem really do when they bought Impact Wrestling? They bought a wrestling company, but didn't change out the people who were there. I know Anthem does not know anything about the wrestling business, but you would have thought that you would get someone who does know the wrestling business to audit the entire thing, from the executives there to the people who does production, to the people who train, to the ones who set up the ring, who does the lighting, who does the camera work, who are the damn wrestlers. Evaluate every contract and start getting rid of people, one after another, after another, after another. When Anthem took them over, did we ever hear reports 100% that anyone got released? That was an executive, or that was someone in production, or that was someone who either did camera work, or even wrestlers for that matter. No. We didn't generally hear it. Doesn't mean that people weren't released, but we didn't generally hear someone important that is obviously one of the reasons that Impact has been having problems. So, they left generally everything alone, and now they own it, but when it comes down to it, Anthem stuck them on Access TV, which doesn't have the same reach. Access is owned by Anthem. So they didn't have to worry that much about it because they're not having a problem with negotiating contracts or anything. Yes, Impact does have contracts to a certain extent with Access. It's obvious. Even though they're owned by Anthem, they're going to have some type of contract. They're going to with the advertisement. But still, look at what's going on. I've been telling you for 2 straight years and beyond that, Impact has issues with its production, issues with its executives, and issue with its creative. There is something wrong. It is not the talent's problem. Look, think about it for 1 minute. What is the talent doing? Why isn't the talent being hired and given contracts? It's not just because they don't want to be a part of Impact Wrestling. Could it also be Impact doesn't hire people for long term anymore? That the new model that's been created because of the orders from Anthem that you got to cut your budget? Or worse yet, maybe they want to have more money, but still they decided with the extra money they're getting for Anthem, instead of putting that into getting more people for creative or better cameramen, they decided to cut back on their contracts. Instead of giving long-term contracts so they can give people more than 2 to 3 years, they're doing maybe 3 months, 6 months, and maybe yearly contracts where even if they come in, they don't stay long enough to do anything. And that's if you get a contract. What do we normally see? Kushida is not there right now. He'll probably come back to do some more tapings. Lady Frost probably had a short-term contract. She left. She's gone. How many people that we have in there? Look at Morrissey. He had a contract. He's gone. How many people have we seen that should have stayed longer and they're gone? We don't have long-term booking, so that means whoever stays in the company has to be used in those stories. And then one person doesn't like Josh Alexander, one person doesn't like Eddie Edwards, think they're boring, but they're interested in Marsha Slamovich, they're interested in Jordan Grace. Bullshit. Both groups suck. Marsha Slamovich's booking has been garbage. Garbage. Jordan Grace's booking has been spotty. Eddie Edwards' booking was wrong. You should have used Chris Sabin instead of Eddie Edwards, because if you had the very first OG of TNA, it would have been more effective, because they both can't talk that well, but at least you know it would have made sense. And then you got Josh. No matter if you like Josh or not, they pushed Josh over Moose. Moose has been the only person that has made the company do something. Most of those numbers came from Moose, Rick Swan, and when it came to Violence by Design and Eric Young, that's when it was really hot. Those is where the numbers were going in 2020, going to 21, not 29. You get my point. They need to change out what they got, or they'll never get anywhere. And guess what? Even though we've heard reports they're looking for another network, they still have the same stupid management and creative and production value. So when they go to a new network, unless they switch those people out, they're going to still be in the same problem. But this is just me, and I hope you enjoyed this Gump report. Please give me a comment below, and I should be doing my SmackDown and Rampage review. Peace.